with me, and these are the books that I would recommend to someone who I'm meeting for the first time, and if they ask me, oh, what should I read? So the first on the list is Into Thin Air by Jon Krakauer. I hope I'm saying that correctly. So this book is a non-fiction that was published in 1997, and it's about a tragedy that happened on Mount Everest in 1996 during the climbing season, which resulted in the deaths of 8 experienced climbers. The author was part of the expedition group, so he was one of the climbers, and he gives a first-person account of what happened on that day. Now, this is a very fast-paced book, and his beauty, the author's beauty, is the ability to draw you in instantly, even if you're not interested in the topic of mountaineering or climbing or even anything remotely adventurous. You will still enjoy this book because of how well it is written and how he has managed to create this sort of mystery while packing in a lot of information in the book. There was a lot of controversy surrounding this book because the author had, in many instances, criticized the guide of another expedition. So there were like multiple expeditions that were doing the climb to Mount Everest on the day of the tragedy. So he heavily criticizes the guide of another expedition. His name was Anatoly Bukri. I think I'm saying that correctly. So he heavily criticized Anatoly, and there was a lot of controversy surrounding it because a lot of people felt that that wasn't the correct thing to do. So which brings me to my next book, which is The Climb by Anatoly Bukri. So in this book, Anatoly gives his account of what happened on that day, and he doesn't give any explanations, or he's not talking about this book at all. He's in fact talking about what all happened on that day and why he took the decisions that he did. And when you read this book, you realized how wrongly he was accused, because he actually went out on that day, went back to the mountains to try and save a lot of people, and he actually succeeded in saving a lot of people when the snowstorm was ongoing on Mount Everest. He also talks about his early life and his passion for mountaineering and what drives him. So it's an informative book, and I would suggest that you read this book after you read Into Thin Air, as it would give you a more well-rounded understanding of the tragedy. So yeah, The Climb. Next book I want to recommend, or that I highly recommend, is Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This book was published in 1939, and the story is about 8 people who go to an island, and they meet a butler and his wife. So in total there are 10 people on the island, and one by one they start dying. So that's the gist of the story. And the cops are unable to find who the killer is, and at the end of the book there's a letter from the killer which sort of reveals how the crime was done. So you know how people say there's no such thing as a perfect crime? This is a book that talks about that perfect crime. Now, Agatha Christie herself said that this was probably one of her most difficult books to write, and there were a lot of people who did not like the book because it was unrealistic and so on. So if you don't like any of her books, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Another book that I highly recommend is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She's the author of Eat, Pray, Love, even though I feel this is a better book. Usually I don't go for self-help books, but this book is written so well, and at no point is she being preachy about how to live your life or like this is the correct way of life. Instead, she talks about her experiences and how she feels about creativity and living a creative life. There are also these very small anecdotes in the book which are interesting. Also, her definition of living a creative life is also interesting. So, usually we view creativity as, art or music or filmmaking and things like that. She says that if you are living your passion, regardless of what it may be, if you are finding passion and doing things passionately, then you are living creatively, which I thought was very interesting and it sort of resonated with me. And it was also a very nice, cozy read. So, yeah, Big Magic by The next on my highly recommended book list is Khajar Hujar by Vivek Shambhag. I have talked about this book before on my channel, and the story is about a family of 5, and it's sort of a rags to riches story, and it's about how money corrupts people's morality and how you don't even realize that you're losing your morals for the sake of money. So that's the gist of the book. It's a fast-paced, very, very well written book. It's a small book and still there's so much emotion packed into it, and you have this uneasy feeling throughout the reading, which makes it really a fun read.